John from NYC Geek Society talking to Dean Razavi from Raspberry Games.
Yep.
About your game From Rust.
Yeah.
So tell me about From Rust.
Yeah, so From Rust is a collectible card game, and there's a lot of those about, but this one is entirely cooperative. So unlike a Hearthstone where it's like you versus me kind of thing, this is all of us versus the deck. So the deck has cards that are kind of like things that you would find in a traditional dungeon crawler. So there's like monster cards, there's loot cards, there's NPC cards, things like that. And you can almost think of flipping over a card as like knocking down the door of a dungeon and like what's there. So we're all going to take turns flipping over cards, resolving, like fighting monsters as we find them, trying to help each other in combat. And then after we get through the deck, we'll fight a boss together. When we do that, we unlock cards on all of our individual accounts that we can use on the next session. So new characters, new gear, new abilities that we can use. And we also unlock new monsters. You can take those, put them in the earlier level for deck to make it even harder. And then in doing so, we increase the difficulty, but also increase the reward rate that we're going to get from it. So that's kind of like the core loop for it. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. It's definitely like a Mad Max Borderlands kind of vibe in terms of a post-apocalypse. I wanted, especially after Vidar last year, I desperately needed to do something frivolous and not serious at all.
Yeah, so talk to a little bit more about that. This is very different from the game that I interviewed you about last year, Vidar.
Yeah, I mean, I had worked on Vidar for 3.5, 4 years, I think.
Well, give a short summary. What is Vidar?
And it was a single-player narrative RPG, pretty slow paced, and the whole core focus was on like how communities come together and grieve, and more in the death of one of their own. And I was processing a lot of feelings about like losing somebody in your life. And doing all the dialogue for that, it had a lot of branching dialogue because it was like this randomized narrative. And just like writing thousands and thousands of lines of dialogue about death, I was like, no, no more. I'm done. So we're still doing kind of fun narrative things here. I wanted to still say like, where can I do weird things with narrative? And so one of the things we do is we put in event cards in the deck that are like plot points that actually advance the story of this like robot virus that's taken over the world and how we're kind of getting through our lives in it. Because I felt like since we're co-op, we have the opportunity to tell a story as well. And that Vidar was like so focused on story that I wanted to keep that element here. But at the same time, I wanted to go way more like comedic and frivolous and a little dark humor with it instead, just to have like a change of mindset about it.
And what platform is From Rust going to be released on?
Yeah, so we're targeting PC originally. We're probably going to do a mobile launch shortly after that. We just want to get on PC first, make sure everything is fine before we start like retooling UIs for mobile, and then possibly move to consoles from there. But we're still at least a year out from release, probably a little bit more. So I think like that kind of those decisions are going to have to be made later. Yeah, a little bit more.
All right, great. Is there anything else you'd like to promote? Anything else that you're working on?
Yeah, just for like people to come to. First off, like people should come to play NYC next year after they see this, because it's amazing. I love this space. I love this venue. I am like very much a supporter of the playcrafting community, and if you guys have a chance to check out the graffiti games, I'm like thrilled that we're doing this stuff to be able to support specifically immigrant developers here. It's like a really important thing for me. Like my dad is a first generation immigrant, and so I'm glad we're making this statement here. So it's definitely something that is a cool experience that is very unique to New York. So.
And where can people find out more?
Yeah, best place for me is Twitter at raspberrygames.com or at Raspberry Games. They can find out more about From Rust at FromRustCG.com for card game, or raspberrygames.com also works. There's a bunch of. Just Google me, like you'll find me eventually.
All right, great. This has been John from NYC Geek Society. Looking forward to playing From Rust and NYC Geek Out.